Hi, this is Todd Lowry here. I'm going to be talking to you about my digital identities. And I say identities because I have more than one. I am going to talk a little fast here so that I can get a lot in because it's limited to a short amount of time. Let's go ahead and answer some questions here. How is my digital identity different from my real world self? How is this the same? And when I step back and think about my online self versus my real self, I notice how more similar they are than how different. I have to look closely to see the differences, but someone else might see them a little easier than I do. The biggest difference, I suppose, is how I often show or only show a facet or side of me each time on each identity. It's kind of like a resume in a sense. I show what seems relevant and pertinent and limit it to that. How technology enables me to more fully express or a specific dimension of my identity. Well, social networking platforms and similar technologies allow me to edit my persona and facets, much like we see in the TED Talk, in the first TED Talk that we looked at this week. Um, as it allows me to edit my persona and facets, I get the response that I want. It creates this world of response driven place where liking and sharing is how I connect, and a sense of reward comes from the popularity associated with it. I am able to adapt not only to the image that I project, but I also project myself into that image. So I'm actually changing who I am. But like Foucault says in his examination of a panopticon, in our synthetic virtual selves, we can behave and appear to be an improved version of ourselves. Taking it to an ongoing aspect, which is what the internet is in real time, the model of myself makes corrections, much like Aubrey did with her Italian MySpace. Now, moving on to how technology governs and influences and shapes my identity. Each medium of technology has rules, like the 140 characters of Twitter and the React buttons, formerly the like button of Facebook. In many ways, this removes the human element of minute facial expressions and voice inflections, and ordinary conversation would allow me as a participant to get to know the person that's either liking me or that I'm talking with. The brevity of it all keeps it to where we can't really get to know each other. As my online persona becomes more and more a calling card and a communication device, both extensions of who I am, and as I project myself into the world as this, I find myself devoting more time to the process, sometimes almost all of my time, and a lot of times too much time. It draws me in. The reward system is constantly changing structure and an endless supply of new innovations to keep me engaged to the point where I have to make myself disconnect, and then I get these withdrawals. It's not healthy, but what we are becoming, it's really, this is what we're becoming. And in order to survive and to get ahead in the world, or at least it seems so. Um, my digital identity is a product of the social and technological context in which I live. Um, Let me address this. I wear three hats currently professionally, two non-professionally. So I have five pretty much personas that are kind of blended together, or they're facets of me. Um, and all of them are true. There's nothing that's fake or phony about it. I don't have time for that, but we'll get into that in a minute. Um, this is probably where I could use most of my work, though. I'm a fence contractor. I own an online t-shirt company, and I'm a fledgling writer, screenwriter, and author, and I guess an article writer. I'm a student full time and for at least the next month, and these are in addition to my private, public self. Each of these has a distinct set of qualities that make up a large portion, but still only a portion of who I am. My digital identities reflect the hats that I wear in the real world and where I live and what I do with my time. How my online identity is like a performance. One benefit from not having enough time to do everything I'm actually doing is I get to see how things underperform and how to fix them when they do, and how this relates to being a performance. For instance, when I'm not in school, or rather when I am in school, which will end in a month, I'm not building fences or selling t-shirts. Not that I couldn't, but that I can devote most of the time to school. When I look at at what it takes to get each of these done, I devote time to them, very much like the chapters of a book, and it resembles the acts of a play. This is how it really connects to me, for me, to being more of a performance. The acts, the acts of a play or the chapters of a book, I have to maintain the images within them, but not just a facsimile of the appearance or the image, but the functionality of the image. They have to perform. They have to, you know, do what I'm making them for. So I have to actually write a post on my author blog. I actually have to find new products. I actually have to write something to write about on my author blog. Um, I actually have to find new images for my t-shirt products, resize them, mock them up onto my t-shirt website in order to post about them on my Facebook page, which is another facet of an image of me. And then also in the Twitterverse. Moving on, how is my behavior different when I know it's public? In this respect, I have to completely agree with Foucault and Tim Rainer. The online personas I maintain are very much like a prison, and I am being ever scrutinized by a public who acts like a virtual panopticon prison guard, and I cater to it. It's part of the conversation. Even more, it is the conversation. When it's just me and a friend out camping way off disconnected in the woods, I can let it loose and say whatever the hell I want. When I'm online, I'm thinking about how my kids or my friend's kids or my aunt or my wife's dad will think of what I'm saying, and who it may or may not offend, and whether or not I care if it does. In many ways, I want to just create a fake me, like so many people do, and let it go politically, socially, etiquette-wise, and not really giving two fucks about whether whatever I say or offends anybody, and I can just say whatever the hell I want. But knowing that sooner or later these two personas will get connected and diminish each other respectively, a bit of collective tactic needs to be inserted on the front end of that operation, which I don't have time for. So I can get some good behaviors from the public prison guards that keep me in check. But now I think about, how does my digital identity affect my sense of who I am as a person? And lastly, I think it fragments me to a degree, just like we saw in the TED Talks. Fortunately, I'm old enough to remember the world all before all these two-dimensional identities and avatars that pervade our existences ever were. I still know what it means to be real and to be yourself, and it's kind of fading away and morphing into the artifice permanence, but it's kind of lonely on one hand. It allows me room for correction and space, on the other hand, to be myself without fear of the world criticizing me. It allows a display case to show off the improvements that I make, and being able to arbitrarily step back and take a look at myself before I post it. There's a constant battle within myself to not venture into the fake and phony, to not make time for that. I have too much going on and too much at stake to do that. I can see how, if I were younger and less experienced and more time on my hands, how I may want to inflate myself to the point of untrue. But fortunately for me, there's enough interesting stuff to keep me busy and satisfied with who I am. The struggle to maintain my hats or digital identities consumes so much of my time that it melts into the core of who I am. It changes me and makes me cherish more the rarer, realer moments away from the online world and out into the natural world around me. It puts a higher premium on those experiences. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.